So we are just 1 month away from the Robotaxi event coming out October 10th, and I wanted to provide an update on Tesla stock, especially as we just got news that the big money is starting to get bullish on Tesla stock in the long-term perspective. And of course, I want to go ahead and highlight this recent article that we just got today. But before I go ahead and touch on that, I quickly just want to do a little recap of what we're seeing with the price action for Tesla. Just real quick, we are starting to see Tesla start to push upwards after this big sell-off that we had back on September 6th. In fact, I recently made a video breaking down why we saw essentially this collapse in the price action on September 6th, and I shared my opinion on robotaxis, which I'll go ahead and share it again in this video, what my thoughts are leading to that event. But we are indeed seeing Tesla stock push upwards, so that is good news. But what's even better news is that we got pretty much one of the big banks, Deutsche Bank, and I love saying that, Deutsche Bank, one of their analysts came out and said that they're raising their price target for Tesla at $295. Now, this is pretty interesting because it's on the higher end of the spectrum for Wall Street. In fact, this article mentions that the consensus is currently 218, with the biggest bull in Wall Street being Morgan Stanley with their analyst Adam Jonas, which you guys are probably familiar with, especially as we talked about him multiple times on this channel, and he currently has a price target at 310. So Morgan Stanley, they're the biggest, bulls for Tesla from pretty much the, institutional side, but now we have Deutsche Bank getting pretty bullish, and their analyst said that Tesla just isn't a automaker, but rather a technology platform attempting to reshape multiple industries, deserving a unique type of valuation framework. He also goes on to say, this analyst, that it's in a league of its own and represents our highest conviction secular leader, poised to reshape multiple industries across autos, energy, mobility, and robotics. Now, pretty bullish coming from Deutsche Bank. And, this is kind of pretty interesting because on this channel, I talked about how, yes, currently 80% of Tesla's revenues, it comes from its auto sales. But when you're investing in the company, right, you're looking at things from a forward perspective. And we are seeing some interesting things. We're seeing energy grow. And, I also compared, when in the previous video, I think it was like maybe 5 videos ago, I highlighted how, from a fundamental perspective, when we're looking at the PE ratios, Tesla is a bit extended on the multiple perspective. And I highlighted how its peers are NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, and Meta. And the reason I highlighted Tesla's peers being a lot of these tech companies is because, of course, Tesla's part of the Magnificent Seven, right? And I actually got someone commenting saying, and I'm not picking on this guy, by the way, Harry3344 saying, LOL, none of these are Tesla's peers, laughing emojis. And I said, I was comparing Tesla to its constituents in the Magnificent Seven, and I sent a link highlighting what the Magnificent Seven is, and it's essentially these tech stocks. And Tesla is indeed included in the Magnificent Seven. Now, granted, it's kind of lagging behind a lot of the other names year to date for 2024, but it's still considered a tech stock. And, this Harry344, and again, I'm not picking on him, right? I'm just highlighting what he mentioned. He just said, but you really can't call them tech, can you? They're an automotive company that has a fancy version of cruise control that doesn't work properly. And then he goes on to say that, you should be comparing them to GM, Ford, and Volkswagen. It's a bit, there's a lot of nuance, right? Because, of course, currently, yes, Tesla's sales, or most of its revenues, come from auto sales. So we can say it's an automotive company. But the reason why I don't like to compare Tesla to GM and Volkswagen is because Tesla's still expanding in a lot of other segments that they aren't. For example, if we take a look, we look at the revenues, right? Of course, automotive sales make up a huge bulk, but look at energy generation and storage revenue. It jumped from the first quarter of 2024 to the second quarter of 2024 pretty much 100%. It's growing. Energy is growing. The revenue from energy and storage is growing for Tesla, and this is likely to continue growing. The reason I say this is because we saw that there was a lot of infrastructure from the government to go ahead and continue growing EVs, as there's kind of this mandate, right, for EVs to become the general vehicle by a certain year, but I'm not sure if it's 34 or 32. And of course, Tesla's poised to benefit from this, especially with their charging stations, and how a lot of these other EV companies are, have already adapted to the Tesla, pretty much and to kind of break it down, the way that the EVs are charged, right, with their NACs. And so That's, their North American standing charging ports. So that's good. And that's why we're likely to eventually see Tesla continue growing in its energy in generation and storage revenue. And we're just now starting to begin to see just a fraction of what Tesla is going to be doing in future revenue. But of course, we also have AI and robotics. Now, on this channel, I know I've shared my thoughts on FSD a lot of times, and I am bullish on Tesla in the long term, right? I do have exposure to Tesla in my long term portfolio. I just am kind of more on the side that I'm not convinced that FSD is going to be, great, especially how it's been getting delayed for so many years. Although I will admit that these other companies, like let's say Mercedes, they're achieving level 4 and they're trying to reach level 5, but they're using LiDAR radars, which are very heavy on the car and make them very bulky, and it makes the cars more expensive. And so that's why I think while all these other companies are also achieving autonomy at a rate close to Tesla, I'm not too bullish on them either, because of course, who wants to pay $100,000 for a car that's really worth only $30,000, but it's worth so much more because of all these radars on them, versus Tesla's just doing something completely different with FSD. And so, I kind of have mixed opinions on FSD, but what I'm really bullish on Tesla, and I know I get a lot of hate with the FSD, I know, I get it. But what I'm actually really bullish on Tesla is, and I say this often, is the robotic segments of Tesla and also the energy segments of Tesla. And that's why I'm bullish on Tesla. That's why I still hold it in my long-term portfolio. Yes, I did recently trim it and I moved it to, pretty much some treasuries, as I'm bullish on that. But that's a whole different story, completely separate from what we're seeing today. But the point is, when I did that comparison of Tesla to these other companies, it's because Tesla is in the Magnificent Seven, and I don't like to compare Tesla to GM or Volkswagen. It's challenging to do that when Tesla is just growing in all these other segments. And so yes, partially Harry 344 or 3344 is right. Tesla is currently an automotive company, but when you're looking at things from an investing perspective, you're looking at things for the future, and we're seeing that we are seeing growth in other segments, and we're expected to see that continue. And we also have Goldman Sachs, right? They made this research report earlier in the year, and they mentioned how humanoid robots are expected to become a $38 billion business, right, by 2035. And I mean, I know right now there's been some disappointments with pretty much Optimus 2. We've heard Elon Musk mention how it's challenging to manufacture them. And I believe somewhere in this report, somewhere it mentions how it is kind of challenging right now because there's not enough, and I can't find it in this report, but it's just hard to manufacture them, right? Something about there's just not the capability and the machinery to manufacture them at a mass scale. But Goldman Sachs is pretty optimistic that this is going to be resolved fairly soon, and this could lead to a huge boom for companies that are working towards, developing these humanoid robots. And so that's what I'm really bullish for, bullish for Tesla. And then we had Elon Musk, and this was, just a couple of months ago, July 22nd, he tweeted posted, I'm still saying tweeted like it's Twitter, it's X, and so they're called posts. He posted how Tesla will have genuinely useful humanoid robots in low productions for Tesla's internal use by next year, and hopefully high production for other companies in 2026. Now, can you take Elon's word on this? You really can't. You got to take it with a grain of salt, because how many times have Elon Musk made promises that things are going to come next year, and it ends up being next year again, and next year again, and next year again. But I'm optimistic that they are still in the race for the humanoid bots, and that's likely to do very well for Tesla, and I expect that they're going to grow substantially. We're going to have most likely another S-curve for Tesla once this actually gets figured out for high production levels that are actually useful for just labor, right? So that's something that's pretty interesting. Now, real quick, today is also September 10th. We are 1 month away from pretty much the Robotaxi event, which I'll go ahead and talk about in a second. But of course, one thing we are going to be watching, and again, it's not relevant 100% to Tesla, but we do have the presidential debate, which is going to happen at 8 p.m. Central Time. Why does this matter talking about Tesla? Well, of course, we want to hear what's going to go ahead and happen in regards to just subsidies for a lot of these EVs. I know it's been kind of like a mix opinion from Trump on Tesla, yet he's friends with Elon. It's a very unique relationship, but of course, I hate to get political on things. I absolutely hate to do that, but of course, you want to pay attention to what's going to happen in an economy with different policies from different potential presidential candidates or different presidents. And so we'll want to take a look at this coming out. I'm not going to do a live stream for it. You guys could definitely check it out. It's going to be taking place pretty much at 8 p.m. Central Time, so definitely check that out. But going back to the robo-taxi event that's coming out September or October 10th, why am I not entirely bullish on it? Again, I do have my opinions with the robo-taxis, and I think that it's going to be kind of that buy the news or buy the rumor, sell the news type of event, simply because, first off, it's already been delayed. And so having it delayed from, August until October, now there's more pressure for, okay, well, why was it delayed? And so if we don't have anything substantial, then it's not really going to be anything that's going to provide a huge boost for Tesla. And I think we're just going to get like a little bit of an update on FSD having some marginal improvements, but I don't think it's going to be something where autonomy is resolved. I think we'll just hear plans of pretty much robo-taxis taking place, which quite honestly already, and not like from the actual cars, not from like the Tesla vehicles that you drive, but kind of just specific vehicles that are designed in a geometric location to drive maybe a few blocks around. And we already have that all over the place, all over the country. We have that, right? And so I don't think it's going to be something huge. I know a lot of the Uber Tesla bulls are saying, well, this is going to be an event where autonomy is going to be resolved, and now you could rent out your Tesla and make it produce revenue for you, like it's Toro or like it's some type of and Toro, by the way, is a rental kind of app where you rent your car out. The people are expecting it's going to be like the Uber and Turo business mashing up together for Tesla. I don't have those high expectations. Morgan Stanley's analyst Adam Jonas doesn't have those high expectations, and even Deutsche Bank, right? They're bullish on the long term for Tesla. The short term that's taking place within the next month, don't put too much weight on it. That's just my opinion. That's the analyst's opinions. Just kind of wanted to share that. But we are seeing some improvement with Tesla after this recent sell-off. Let's take a look at SPY. The S&P 500 is kind of just moving sideways, slightly up, from that recent sell-off, but nothing too crazy. Let's actually take a look at TLT. This is what I actually sold some of my position for Tesla for, which is TLT, the 20-year Treasury bond ETF. But you know what? We'll leave this. We'll cut the video here. I want to go ahead and share more of the exclusive trade ideas for those within the Push and Profit private group. But with that said, you guys let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on Tesla leading up until October 10th. And with that said, I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.